So, here we are again. My balcony talk. Hmm. So, where am I today? It's so important to check in and really tune in with yourself, to not get swooped away by everyone else's needs, consciousness, thoughts, feelings, whatsoever. Not because it's bad, just because it's not me. And I came here to be me. Obviously. Good coffee. So, hmm, as further along in this spiritual journey, as more I feel like there is clarity in energy, not necessarily in thoughts. Like, thoughts, yes, as well, but there's like much more clarity what energy wants to do with this body, kind of, like I can feel something is like started to already a few weeks ago about work. Like there was something in my body that was like starting to build up some sort of resistance. And it's funny because I think before before the awakening, there are so many ways to suppress your personal needs and wants and desires, or like, your personal alignment with life and, what you came here for to do. So then when you have something to do, like work or certain things, and there's no specific clarity to push through your own desires or needs, then there was like this long postponing, having excuses, maybe, drinking or getting otherwise some sort of um, distraction or falling into arguments, blaming the work or, shaming something or whatever. Something's wrong, finding some fault in everything. Sort of, that's, I feel like for me personally, that was my previous experience before the awakening. And even at the beginning of the awakening, because the subconscious mind is still sort of unwinding this sort of spiral that is sort of unwinding slowly but surely everything that is not worth keeping. So basically, yeah, there was definitely this. Oh, hi, birdie. Oh, beautiful bird. Just came to say hello. So yeah, there was definitely this recognition that now that there's no fault in anything, no blame shame game, there is just very clear sort of, oh, the energy doesn't want to go that way, so it must be the truth, because energy doesn't lie. Energy doesn't make up even stories in the mind. Energy just goes like, no. Just sort of like, no, I can't go ahead. I, yes, you can always push harder with motivation, but that would be still just temporary, band-aid. That's the thing. I feel like, maybe that should be the tagline, band-aid for life. Because I truly believe that before the awakening, and before, like, being really in alignment with your true soul's purpose, and I'm not talking about the bigger scheme of rescuing the world. Yes, maybe it is rescuing the world, and maybe it's just being mother, or maybe it's just being a good gardener, like maybe it's just being a good cleaning person. Like, it doesn't matter what the big purpose is, but the big purpose for yourself, you will know because it will feel so right, and it will not have this stopping energy and being like, no, it's not for you, you know? If there's this flow of energy, then it's definitely flowing. And then it's definitely feels right. And it's not like enthusiastic feels right. It's just, it flows, you know, till it stops. And you know, that's how universe these days guides me. And before it was just a band-aid on top of a band-aid on top of a band-aid till I didn't know at all who I am, what I want, where I'm going. You know, they also call it the lost soul. Obviously, I was completely lost because I was, you know, consuming way too much alcohol to suppress all my emotions and thoughts and feelings, going through, you know, divorce and hard times. And yeah, figuring out. And hard times, I'm not saying that life made it hard. I made it hard for myself because I avoided myself for so many years. So I had to suddenly like do the real work, and that was messy. The real work is messy. Like, I don't know if there's anyone out there who is going through awakening and says, oh, it's easy peasy, beneasy, kneesy. No, it's not. How is that possible? I don't believe so because a radical awakening, you know, some people awaken up very gently, very smoothly. Like, poop, poop, go to yoga, eat some vegetarian food, and kind of mellow into this awakening. You know, maybe there's no dramatic impact. But like for people that have a severe awakening, that's usually because there was complete misalignment before, I believe. For me, I was so misaligned to a point where I couldn't even recognize myself anymore. And and even now, because the thing is, the ego wants to recognize itself, but there is kind of, you know, minimalistic ego left. So what would you recognize? You recognize just the flow of energy that is occurring in the present moment. Honestly, there's not anything else. And sometimes it can be completely messy and sometimes it's completely clear, but it feels different because it just feels like energy. It doesn't feel like a concept. It doesn't feel like, oh, I have to put band-aids all over this thing that I'm pursuing or doing because you know how it is the same as with relationships or work or any or friendships. When you start putting band-aids, such a good analogy. My spirit is cutesy. When you start putting band-aid everywhere and actually your energies just goes like, no, you either have to look deeper and find the truth inside of this issue or you have to stop it. There's, you know, but not band-aid on band-aid with, you know, alcohol, distractions, binge watching telly, binge watching whatever, um, you know, overworking, you know, workaholic or friendaholic, you know, where you're just consumed by all your friendships, but you don't care about your own needs. Like there are so many ways to avoid the work, the deep work that you, it's not you know, it does call work because for people who neglected themselves for so many years, it feels like work and it is work. But truth to be told, that's the only work you came here for. That's the awakening realization that you came here only for one work, not a job title. The work is to always align with yourself, always check in, always have a conversation with yourself. Speak it into existence out loud. Don't ruminate on it. Speak it out, digest it, and feel what you really want. Feel that you have a choice in the now, not because something is bad or good, but because simply the energy is not willing to go there. Simple as that. And it feels that way. You can feel it in your full body, and that you don't have to become sick from it. You can just stop and just reconsider. And if you act from a place of alignment, the stars are aligning and suggestions, new openings, new variables arrive, I believe. Yet, of course, if you constantly avoid, where are you going with this? Avoidant? You're going to avoid land? That's the problem. I avoided for so many years, signs that my body was just not wanting to move along, but I still pushed through. And then I wondered, why is it so messy around me? Like, why is my head so messy? Why is my heart so messy? Why am I so conflicted? Conflicted is not a normal state, yet I believed before that that was it. Like, maybe I should be conflicted. Maybe I should be, you know, giving more grace. Like, they're like excuse, band-aid on band-aid. Band-aid is like an excuse, but I feel like a band-aid is already when you tired of making excuse, it became a wound already, and you're making a band-aid. And truth to be told, I believe that's how most diseases come. If you do it for so many years, you ignore your internal landscape. That's, yeah. And go against the grain of your own being, and then it's like, oh, don't be selfish. Like, nobody told me that because I was always the opposite. Like, "Whoa, I need to be this selfless person," and then so resentful. Oh my God, so resentful. I had so much resentment at the beginning of this journey. It was like unbelievable. So much resentment towards myself, God, the universe, whatever. People for sure, because there was so much resentment of why is this happening, like a victim mentality, obviously, and also like it should be different, like this internal dialogue, it should be different. Yet I went with the wrong direction for many years without, you know, putting my foot down and then complaining about it. What's that? That's again a very much traditional human pattern of being a hypocrite. For years accepting something and being the martyr, being the giver, being the nice person, and then wondering why it all goes uh, uh, wrong or is not appreciated. The funny thing is, I'm again the giver, the nice person, but there's like a particular line where I do it because I want it, not because I go against my own grain. And that's a big difference, being loving and giving from a place of your own authority and alignment, completely different than being before, like giving and sacrificing for the sake of others' happiness. That didn't work at all for alignment. How can your alignment work for someone else's alignment? You see, that's the thing. Now if it's in my alignment and then on top of it I can make someone happy, wow, it's like a double whammy, like it's win-win. But if it's just to please someone else, again, people pleasing, and again, you wonder why you attract a narcissist, because you're people pleaser. So it's the same thing. Like nothing is good or bad because it's just an out of balance situation. And the same that even then, most people who have then this relationship with a narcissist and are people pleaser, eventually it completely swaps, and then you become the narcissist and they become the people pleaser. True story. Ask the one who knows the best. Me. No, it's actually quite fascinating. So that's where there's no blame, shame, guilt, because there is a balance or out of balance. And if it's out of balance, then the modern psychology wants to find solutions to be like, they have a disorder. Well, you have clearly a disorder because you're with this person. Oh, bless their heart and bless my heart. So basically, truth to be told, people are just peopling. with all their goods and bads, attitudes, whatever wherever their journey is currently present. And that's why you can only go back to your own journey and be completely in alignment just with your own needs, not out of selfishness, but out of self respect. Self respect on this awakening journey is so important. And yet again, I had to learn it. Like, I remember, being in sort of a church community, and that was definitely something that I felt it's like a very big thing about people being sacrificial and forgetting that they also have a respect for themselves in front of God, in front of universe, that that's the priority first, and then yes, be loving and kind to others, but like, don't forget yourself first. This is very important to have this self-respect. So yeah, the morning preaching with my coffee. I hope you enjoyed. I certainly did, because expression avoids depression. Not even avoids, prevents actually. It's not an avoidance. It's a beneficial task. So expression prevents depression. So go ahead, express yourself mindfully, because there's no point of expressing people like, oh, let's be authentic and be garbage. No, we're not gonna do garbage. There's no harm feelings because everything is neutral. Um, so basically, it's not about going out and suddenly being like, I want to be authentic, so I'm gonna, talk beep about others. No, being, authentic and also in alignment and also expressive means truly that you can see that it's all just bunch of patterns clustered upon someone as a form of an ego, and eventually you see all these patterns, you see your own patterns. Mostly you dealt with most of them, and you also knew fully aware how difficult it was. So you kind of became less of a expectation about other people's changing theirs because you know how much work you put into it, and that most people, I'm not sure if they would, but they would try most probably for their own just well-being. But yeah, it's true authenticity if you can express yourself mindfully for your own benefit of alignment, expression to reach a point of alignment and neutrality, even if you before felt like something was slightly off, because of course the outside world compared to you could be slightly off because it's a fluctuating outside world. Everybody's on their own timeline, on their own little planet. So, of course, going from outside inside and starting expressing, it's always so soothing and beneficial and like highly recommended. I highly recommend it, people. It took me years to express just what is going on internally. And yeah, and I'm so grateful that I can do it now. Like, honestly, it's such a blessing that I'm able now to do so. Highly recommended, highly recommended. For all hermits as well. Kisses, bye.